distant lands, our forefathers came, some seeking adventure, some bound in chains. Through battles waged and fought, through victory and pain, by test of their courage, our freedom was gained. In homage to those gone before us, the heroes of lands in the sun, we vow to join hands and to focus on building one Caribbean. Raise your voices high and sing of your Caribbean pride. Sing it loud and strong, feel our hearts beat as one. Celebrate in song as we rise to heights where we belong. Sound the victory drum for Caracom. Though great and diverse be our ethnicities, the bonds that unite us are stronger than these. We dine, we pray, we love, we dance and we play, but we relate to each other, we'll rest in your way. Today as a people united, determined and steadfast we stand. We look to a brand new horizon, the future now firmly in our hands. Raise your voices high and sing of your Caribbean pride. Sing it loud and strong, feel our hearts beat as one. Celebrate in song as we rise to heights where we belong. Sound the victory drum for Caracom. Hele, hele, bravo, open you sing Caracom. Leve, leve, bravo, naki you drum Caracom. Tabu, ya tabu, awo, open you sing Caracom. Leve, leve, bravo, raise your voices high and sing of your Caribbean pride. Sing it loud and strong, feel our hearts beat as one. Celebrate in song as we rise to heights where we belong. Sound the victory drum for Caracom. Hele, hele, bravo, open your sting Caracom. Leve, leve, bravo, hele, hele, tabu, ya tabu, awo, naki your drum Caracom. Leve, leve, bravo.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the virtual information, and there's another word in there, virtual information session for prospective undergraduate and postgraduate students. This evening, the Faculty of Culture, Creative, and Performing Arts welcomes you to our presentation. And forgive me, I still have goosebumps every time I see the UE Dance Ensemble perform. And they have become a feature of the university stage. And it is always wonderful to see the hard work and energy that they put into their work. And when we see them perform, we see more than Caribbean pride. We see UE pride. So this evening, we've organize a session of presentations. There are a number of students among us. I see some faculty too. I see some administrative staff. And hopefully we can give you the essence of what it is we do in the Faculty of Culture, Creative and Performing Arts. I'd like to begin, first of all, by introducing our Dean, Professor David Akombo, and invite him to join us and to offer some remarks as we start the session this evening.
We are culture, we are creative, and we are artists. That is our mantra in the Faculty of Culture, Creative and Performing Arts. Welcome to each and all prospective students, and your guardians and parents will support you to join the faculty in the future. We were created 5 years ago. We are in our 5th year. There are many reasons this faculty was founded. The reasons go well beyond humanity. The UWI Cave Hill is 61 years old, and it has a lot of faculties, but none of them pursued or offered degrees that endeavor to promote cultures and the creatives. So therefore, this is your faculty. So you have no reason now to graduate from high school and look to pursue your cultural and creative degrees abroad. You can start at BCC and transfer to our faculty, or you can come directly here, of course, depending on your CXCs and CAPE grades and all that. But we are here to promote the cultural creatives and the cultures of not just of Barbados, but the entire Caribbean. Culture and the creative industry both create a foundation of a complete education. Culture and the creatives help us understand humanity. It's easier to understand humanity through cultures and the creative industry, our degree programs. It's very difficult to get that in other faculties, and especially sciences, perhaps, because you have to be in the lab doing chemical experiments, but those are not human beings. But what I'm trying to say is that all disciplines are great, but if you want to understand human activities and understand humanities, then you need to study culture and the creative arts. Second, if you want to develop your critical thinking skills, then you are looking at culture and the creative arts, because that's where you sit in the driver's seat. You are the pilot of your own capstone project. You think through it, you create it, you do it using your own introspectives. And no one can get into your brain to help you choreograph that dance or create your film project or create your musical composition or create your theatrical script. It's you create it. That is developing critical thinking, because you have to think through yourself. These are the things that you can develop when you study culture and the creative arts. Thirdly, by studying culture and the creativity, you develop your own creativity. You are exposed to artistic expressions, which inspires your own intellectual and a creative innovation. You also learn how to solve problems, so in various fields, using your creative endeavor. And then, of course, culture and the arts help you develop empathy and connection with other people. For example, when you work on your capstone projects, which are required to graduate, you will have to work together with other students, and that develops connection with them. But when you also present your creative art, you connect with the people in the industry, in the community as well. When you go on the world stage, you connect to the global community. So This is what helps you connect with the global industries. Fifth, preserving heritage, very important. Every culture is important, and all the histories are here to be learned from, but they don't negate the idea of you getting to understand your culture, your history, and therefore the faculty that helps you understand these cultural histories is a faculty of culture, creative, and performing arts, because you study the artistic achievements of the people in the past and how they have been passed on to the current generations. And then you carry on with your innovative features of the 21st century, including technology and artificial intelligence, anything that has you inspired to be innovative. You can use that to create cultural connections. Last but not least is culture and the arts help you in your well-being. When you feel depressed, when you feel low, you can just go into your studio, in your space, and create something that inspires your whole body-mind connection. There's a lot of scientific research that shows that people in the creative arts, cultural arts, are easily inspired to create a wellness span for themselves when they're engaged in creating these artistic innovations, which are linked to their mental and emotional health benefits, thereby reducing things like stress and also increasing happiness. There are a lot of people who want just to be happy, and this happiness can be found in the cultural and the creative industry. You create your musical composition, you create your dance, you create your film, or you create your theatrical production. So these are the things we promote here at the University of the West Indies, and we hope that you will consider majoring in our programs here to help you cultivate your niche, which is the creative idea, and whatever you want to do, you can go with it. It doesn't mean that when you graduate with a degree in culture and theater or culture and dance and music, that you'll be stuck with that. You can, because we develop critical thinking skills, you can actually find that this degree is applicable in other areas of your professional career. So we have graduates who have gone on to work in other industries just because the degree programs here in our faculty have given them that opportunity to be critical thinkers, to be all-rounded individuals, and above all, to be innovative, because our degrees make you to be a completely innovative individual. As I said from the very beginning, it is your brain. You get to create what you want because it's a creative degree. And it's also a culturally based degree. You get to bring in your cultural etiquette, your cultural norm from wherever island, whatever Caribbean island you're from, or from wherever nation you're from, whether you are from India, South Africa, Canada, United States, India, Russia, it doesn't matter. You just bring it in and you develop your niche from there. So without so much ado, I really, really do look forward to seeing your applications soon when you are eligible to join our Faculty of Culture, Creative, and Performing Arts and develop what the Prime Minister calls the orange economy, which is part of the big deal for Barbados and the Caribbean, so that they can grow the economy. This is your time, and we look forward to welcoming you. Thank you very much, and have a wonderful faculty week to get to enjoy and learn about our programs. Have a good evening. Back to you, Mr. Andrew Millington.
Thank you, Dean Akombo. And you should know that Professor Akombo's area of expertise is music. He's a music researcher, and if you're lucky enough to come into the faculty early on mornings, you might just hear him playing on the piano. So we boast, I believe, a very creative faculty. But before I get to introduce them to you, I just want to say that this session, this virtual information session really opens our open and taster week. And we have a number of activities planned for the week. There's the yoga and meditation tomorrow, Tuesday at 9 a.m. There is a jam session, music, which is at the Doddridge D. Miller Building, which you probably know as the Mutual in Bridgetown. And by the way, that's where our music faculty are situated. There's a short film screening on Wednesday, the 12th at 6 p.m. That's in the Walcott Warner Theater in a space we know as the Cinematheque. For those of you looking to express yourself and perhaps have a little fun, Thursday, March 13th, 7 o'clock, you can express yourself and sing karaoke. There's an open mic, and that's in our EBCCI gallery. Friday is a very, very exciting day. Many of the faculty will be busy doing demonstrations and giving workshops throughout the day from 9 to 3:10 p.m. And generally, we invite secondary school students to attend, but all are welcome. And then on Friday, we end with Soca Fit from 7 to 8 p.m. in the EBCCI dance studio. I suspect that's something of a party, but anyway, you all are welcome to join us and to celebrate the Faculty of Culture, Creative, and Performing Arts this week. Now, if you didn't know, the faculty was set up and merged the Department of Cultural Studies and Creative Arts. And so what I like to do at this stage is introduce to you the head of Cultural Studies, Dr. Yannick Hume, and she has accompanying her two students, I believe, who she will identify. I've seen, Shakira here, and I believe I saw Natalie McGuire here as well. So without any further ado, Dr. Hume.
Hi, everyone. Good evening, good evening, good evening. Lovely to be here with you. I see that our dean has his hand up.
Dean?
Dean,
Sorry,
Wait,
sorry,
no
Mr. Millington, I forgot to do a little checking in. I just was curious, and I think Dr. Demerson may have wanted to know at least the lineup. If we have any students interested in the area of dance, for example, if
We'll
we can,
get to that.
is
set
that
up.
okay?
What
Okay,
I'll
great.
do now
Thank you. Yeah.
suggest the participation
Okay.
set up for them. So
All right. Thank you. Yeah.
forgive me, Yanni. Two things. One, so you see at the bottom of your Zoom, there's the chat and there's React. So at some point, what I will do is ask you to identify yourselves as a prospective student. And what you'll do is you'll click on that heart and you'll raise your hand, and I'll reach out to you and ask you your name and your interest. In addition, if you're a little shy and you prefer to communicate using the chat, you can put any question you have for us in the chat, and I'll be happy to look it up and pose it to any of the faculty who are here, who I will identify as we go forward. But at this stage, I'd like to ask Dr. Hume to continue with her presentation. Thank you.
no problem. Okay, so hi, everyone. I am unsure how many of you are interested in cultural studies, so I'm just presenting this widely as prospective students all. So if we take, for example, the understanding, as we do in cultural studies, that culture is the everyday, we could begin to understand that no matter what your area of study is, the aspect of the cultural will in fact animate it somehow. As my colleague, Mr. Millington shared, I am joined today with an alumni, Natalie McGuire, who would have completed her PhD in cultural studies. We have the voice of of an MA student who completed as well, and I wanted to show in a video. We also have Alex Ferguson, who's currently in a cultural studies program. He was just in the class. We're still in the classroom. I took him for hostage to come on board and give his perspective as being a current student. And we also have a prospective student like many of you who just received her admissions letter, and she wanted to speak about what it meant to come through the BA in Caribbean Studies to come forward to then do a cultural studies master's. Now, for those who are unfamiliar with what cultural studies is, I just wanted to share my screen just to give you a quick overview, because I know that we have a lot to cover in a short amount of time. But some of the objectives of a kind of Caribbean cultural studies, we recognize that the field exists beyond just where it emerged, which was the UK 1960s. There are cultural studies, versions of cultural studies as a discipline or as a field of inquiry across the globe. And depending on where you're situated, it looks differently, right? So the Caribbean version of cultural studies has a history that comes out of anti-colonial thought. It has a history that also comes out of the plantation economy of the Americas. It has a history of resistance, and it has a history that explores the ways of migration, giving that migration has been such an informative part of our livelihood strategies, right? So in Caribbean cultural studies, we're engaging with the study of culture within a Caribbean context, but recognizing that the Caribbean exists within a globe. So we're not only looking at the Caribbean as a singular region, but the fact that it has over 5 different Romance languages spoken in this region, and the fact that it also is a space of many different Creoles and Pidgins makes it inherently a culturally diverse space, a space of different ethnicities, racial makeup, and the like. So we're looking at not just the culture of the region, but how does the region fit into the broader globe, right? Recognizing that Caribbean people have always been modern, global, and part of a diverse diaspora. We also are interested in the historiography of the region, the diversity of the peoples that make up this region. We're interested in the space of heritage and where that lives within sustainable development, within a kind of reparative framework. We're invested also within being able to generate publications and studies about this region. So we encourage those who are invested in kind of pushing forward knowledge about the region to study the culture. Here, as a comparativist, I'm always pushing students to look at culture in comparisons, but that's not necessarily required. But the idea of really exploring the culture of your choice, but recognizing that cultures don't exist in a vacuum, they exist within a broader global matrix. So why should you do a degree in the Department of Cultural Studies? You'll be equipped to become an informed thinker, recognizing contemporary cultural issues, everyday experiences, and a host of other things, power dynamics, politics. None of you are really majoring in Caribbean studies, so I'm skipping that last part. But this is an image, for example, from a masquerade tradition you find in the Dominican Republic in a community of San Luis. So being able to identify some of these aesthetic forms for those who, as a comparativist, when I see this, I could also mention the Shotney Masquerade, for example, of Grenada, where similarly the mirrors that you see on the Cape is also used within traditions you find in Grenada. So that although we are in this image, we're looking at one context, we recognize that if we look at another context, there are things that are shared. And then some of the questions we may be raising is what makes these things shareable? So I'm moving along because this particular PowerPoint condenses all of our programs. So I want to talk about, one of the things that I think parents are concerned with, but also those who are trying to, shore up, level up their their training and get a job. Like, what do you do with a cultural studies degree? There are many pathways that you could find yourself in. You could become a cultural consultant, work in the diplomatic corps, work within education, work within different ministerial offices, be a creative practitioner, be an educator, a policymaker, a cultural entrepreneur, all with the recognition that having a kind of cultural dexterity, fluency gives you the foundation of which you could then build the kind of career that could make a difference because you come from a space that is informed, right? And then it continues. You could then, teacher within a primary, secondary school level. You could create your own kind of homeschooling situation and build out curricula that is culturally informed. Work within cultural affairs, marketing, advocacy, museums, academic and social research. And I turn to museums because one of the persons that I want to share with you today is one of our graduates, Natalie McGuire, Dr. McGuire, who received her PhD last semester. In 2024, she was part of the graduating class to cross the stage in October, and she works within the field of museums. So I turn over to her to share some of her perspectives as being an alumni now of the program. And then after her, I'm going to have our assistant, Allison Johnson, show the video of Lana Evans, who completed her MA, and then we're going to switch to our current student and then our prospective student. So over to you, Natalie.
Hi, good evening, everybody. Thank you so much, Dr. Hume, for the invitation to share about my experience as a student here. If I'm able to share my screen, I have a little collage, if that's okay, that I just wanted to share while I was talking a bit about what I do and why the program was so pivotal to some of the work that I do here. So I am a curator at the Barbados Museum, and I get to work with incredible collaborators on projects such as exhibitions and amazing collections like the very first Barbados flag to be flown at the Garrison. I'm also a board member at the National Art Gallery and have co-founded a art triennial. So I kind of work across these cultural spaces related to art collections, community programming, and museums and museology. And localized scholarship, Caribbean scholarship, Barbadian scholarship was always really significant to the approach that I had to museums, because quite often in the Caribbean, we can absorb kind of Eurocentric models of museology. And so the opportunity to study under, the expertise of Dr. Hume and the other members of the faculty in at the University of the West Indies here at home really allowed for a deep connection and exploration with Caribbean cultural theory. And this was really crucial for the development of my particular doctoral research, which looked at how localized methodologies within museology, which is a theory of museums, could be generated out of local practice and theory. So to be able to have, the first year of the doctorate degree is theory classes in a range of different topics. And so to be able to have that concentrated time prior to engaging in the research project and embarking on that journey was really pivotal and really shaped the way in which I was able to reflect on museology as a discipline itself in a Caribbean context. And then, of course, the community that comes from being a part of the faculty cannot be understated. There's so much peer support, supervisor to student support. We had a number of evening get-togethers to, start each semester where we would touch base with each other about our progress. And being in the program, really has opened up a lot of networking opportunities in my field as well. So I absolutely, if anybody's thinking about, a PhD in cultural studies or even you know, the master's, the postgraduate aspect of it, I can definitely share that it was a huge influence on the way in which I do my work now. And yeah, so thank you to the faculty.
Thank you, Natalie, Doc, and Dr. McGuire. It's such an honor to call you that now. And we switch and we could open up to questions afterwards, but I want to switch to the video if we can, Allison, which is of another alumni, but this is of our MA program. And I just wanted you to have her voice. And she is a teacher at BCC, and she teaches languages.
My name is Lana Evans, and I graduated in 2017 with a Master of Arts in Cultural Studies. The topic of my research paper was Jesus, Reigning King of Culture, the Walk Holy Kadooment Band in Barbados and its public representation of Christianity. And I explored Walk Holy's disruption of the sacred secular divide as a Christian costume band in the Kadooment Day Parade, which is considered by many Christians to be a time and a space in which unholy activities take place. I wrote from the perspective of a practitioner, as I'm a Christian, and I've been on the road with Walk Holy for several years. I'm glad that I chose cultural studies because it allowed me the freedom to write on this topic. A couple of people that I talked to were surprised that this would even be something I could write about at postgraduate level. And I think they were surprised because the topic is so accessible, it's so ordinary. But culture is ordinary, right? That's what we learn as a quote from Raymond Williams in the first class. So I was pleased to be able to write on the topic, and I find that cultural studies lends itself to such a beautifully vast range of subject areas. And I'm also grateful that I was able to do this degree in the Caribbean, and I think it's a credit to the University of the West Indies that they have a framework which encourages us as Caribbean people to tell our own stories. And I congratulate Cultural Studies on having become a part of the Faculty of Culture, Creative and Performing Arts. Now, in terms of the process of completing the degree, it was demanding for sure, but it was also very rewarding. I'm a foreign language tutor by profession. I work at the Barbados Language Center of the Barbados Community College, and I've been working there since before I did the master's. And I've taught Spanish, French, and English as a foreign language. So my background is in foreign languages and education, not cultural theory. So that was a challenge for me, especially at the beginning, just trying to find out what these people wanted from me. But it improves with time. The master's degree has helped me to advance professionally, but it also informs the way I think. And I believe that anytime you improve yourself in one area, that can translate to other areas of your life as well. So I believe that I'm a better teacher because of the cultural studies degree. During my teaching, I've used some of the materials and information that I was exposed to during my studies, but it's also these experiences that I had during my studies that are important because they allowed me to think more critically about life in general. And I'm grateful for my interaction with my lecturers, classmates, and fellow students that I met through CHAPS, the Careful Association of Postgraduate Students. And I have to say that the entire experience with its ups and downs was beneficial to me. I grew on an intellectual level and most definitely on a spiritual level. I believe my personal faith was challenged, and I believe it was strengthened as a result of the challenge. And when the process of doing the degree was difficult, I was reassured because I knew that I was in the right place at the right time. And then the relief and the joy I felt when I submitted my research paper was incredible. So I say respect to all of the cultural studies grads and everyone working towards the degree right now. And I wish all the very best to those who are going to make that step in the future to pursue a degree in cultural studies.
Great. So such a wonderful, just hearing Lana and working with Lana and remembering all of her angst going through the program and to see her really thrive and continue to be such a, bringing some of that to her own teaching now is such a gift. I turn now to Alex, who's our current MA student who's joined the program just this September. And then when he concludes, I will then turn to our prospective student, Shakira. And that way we'll have a full gamut of the arc.
Thank you, Yannick.
Mhm.
Hi, good night, everyone. So my story basically is that I was born and raised here, and I lived till adulthood here, but then I went away for a long time. And now I'm back, obviously, and part of my project in coming back was trying to plug into what it's like to be here and to be part of this citizenry again through this university degree, right? And I keep congratulating myself on how smart that was. It's so good. It's the best idea I've ever had, actually. I had no idea I would feel so connected to the culture through this. So cultural studies, as other people have said, has lots of components. There's concrete cultural matter as well in it, but it's also a way to connect to the intellectual tradition of the region and also to locate the intellectual tradition of the region within the broader world, right? So it's super challenging, but also super exciting and super fun, for me at least. I'm really enjoying it. I think because of my personal biography, I haven't had the chance before to learn about myself in the place I'm from by people from the same place, and I can't recommend it enough. Yeah, I'm very happy to be in cultural studies because of the interdisciplinary nature of the field, right? Like all the different ways you can approach a question and engage with things and pull in the things that excite you and interest you. And also have this sort of critical, power-aware lens on the world that others have also talked about. As far as the experience of being in the actual faculty, I feel very supported by the faculty and the staff. I want more engagement with other students, right? So please join. I think there's been a little break maybe in the culture of togetherness, and I'm wanting to kind of reignite that, and I think we're on the way, but we need a little blood, so please, not to be macabre, but yeah. I think that's all for me. Yeah. Good luck to you all.
Thank you so
Thanks,
much.
Jenny.
And I want to reiterate Alex's point of the importance of wanting new persons to join. And I think we did definitely mark a break with COVID where that kind of space of togetherness, which was a part of the culture of cultural studies, had broken, and we haven't quite been able to regenerate its kind of liveliness, and we really need to do so, because I do feel that postgraduate work can be isolating. It can be very insular. So having that sense that someone is somewhere with you and joining you, and we come together, we break bread together, we argue, we debate, is a very important part of the learning experience. And I want to really second what Alex is saying, as someone who's just during the program is really feeling and needing that sense of collaboration and coming together, not only with cultural studies students, but with all faculty, students, and then the broader postgraduate community. And then our last speaker, Shakira, who just received her own letter of admissions, and she's coming from a BA in Caribbean Cultural Studies or Caribbean Studies. And, I wanted her to speak about that experience of what does it mean to have started within our program and then now making this decision to further her studies as a postgraduate student. Over to you, Shakira.
Good night, everyone. A special good night to all of our prospective students. I can't speak about my post-grad acceptance without mentioning the precursor. Yes, during COVID, I made the decision that I would start studying. And as I told Dr. Hume several times, the natural thing for me to do would have been to do a B.Ed. I even signed up for it, and then I was looking through the courses and Caribbean studies came up, and I went on the website and I looked it over and I said, Shakira, you don't want to do a B.Ed. You want to be in this program. With great hesitation, I called the office and said, I would like to change from doing a B.Ed to do the degree in Caribbean Studies. And for those of you who don't know, I am a teacher by profession. I've been in it for a long while. So that's why I said the natural progression would have been to do the degree in education. Anyhow, from day one, the course was very immersive. I was totally enthralled with all the information that I was getting. Some old, most of it new, and some of it was a rebirth. So I would have known some of this information before, but then, sorry, my dog is, it was new information on top of what I had gotten previously, like at secondary school. I must say that all the tutors in the faculty and outside of the faculty were very helpful. I learned so much. I connected to my roots in South Carolina and Atlanta, Gullah Geechee, and all that good stuff. And that was only possible through Caribbean studies. So, from being enticed in all of this goodness, it was what is next. I was in a hurry to finish my degree. Dr. Hume would know. She would know this very well. I was in a hurry, even when I did my degree evaluation and realized that I had 3 extra courses to do. I was like, oh my goodness. Anyhow, we got over that hurdle. And on completion of my degree, I was thoroughly satisfied with what I had done and what I had learned and where I had grown to. But my heartstrings were tugged, and I applied for the master's program in cultural studies. Hearing from someone who was in the program already and someone who has finished just now really has given me more inspiration to get focused and even start to look at what I would be looking to research in the program. I think that the opportunity to be able to learn about yourself, where you came from, how you influence the world, because Caribbean people, Caribbean culture influences more than what we give credit to. Is pushed aside, is dominated by the Eurocentric narrative. But you having this information is empowering. And it's to the point where you're able to spill over on people, and not in a bad way. You're able to teach people what they don't know in general conversations. Like, this knowledge does not just sit in your books or sit in your research paper. It is a continuous process, and it's one that you will learn and grow, and it will never stop. So for all of you having second thoughts, don't stop, get on board. And as my other colleague said, let's meet up and have a good time.
Wonderful. Thank you so, so very much for all our speakers. I mean, I you, but I think hearing from those who have lived the experience, who've walked the walk, who are still walking the walk, who've just started, those who are about to start, and those who've completed, that it really rounds out, hopefully for you, what you're able to do, the range of what you're able to do. Just a quick recap, we offer a postgraduate diploma in cultural studies. We offer a MA, Masters of Arts, a Masters of Philosophy, a PhD, and we also have our practice-based component, which is looking at those who have a creative practice and wanting to pursue that their creative practice while also being grounded in the cultural theory and Caribbean intellectual tradition and other kind of information in terms of theory that would inform the kind of work that they then end up producing as a cultural and creative product. So I think that's it for me. I believe we would have rounded out, provided for you, hopefully, a comprehensive view on what the cultural studies program here at Cave Hill looks like. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Hume. Now, are there any students with us this evening who are interested in applying to do cultural studies? You can raise your hand just so that we can identify you. Okay. Shakira, I have to say, the dog was very excited about your academic journey. He was on point with his cheering you on. Thank you. And now we're going to talk a little bit about creative and performing arts, of which I am the head. So I'm going to share my screen. We tend to use Professor X Nettleford as the person whose work has sort of set the stage for what we do. And he has a quote: the intellect and the imagination, it's the creative exercise of these faculties which will result in the empowerment of both the individual and society. And essentially, what he was saying was culture is essentially a way of expressing a very unique identity. And that identity is, once we begin to study it, we come to a better understanding of ourselves. We have a better understanding of what are the challenges facing the world around us. The Department of Creative and Performing Arts then boasts a state-of-the-art facilities. There's an art gallery, there's a cinematheque, which I talked about before. There's a rehearsal room, which is sort of a multitasking, well, not multitasking, but a space where we do a number of things. It's classes, it's rehearsals, it's workshops. There's a performance center or performance studio. There's a dance studio. There's a computer lab. And there is the George Lamming Pedagogical Center, which is, of course, named after the famed novelist. And he actually was a resident writer in residence there for a number of years. His office is located in that pedagogical center. And of course, there's the Walker Warner Theater, the multipurpose facility, which hosts all kinds of events. The department boasts a number of courses that allows the student to study what we call the dynamics of the creative process. You can study artistic production. You can study what it takes to become an artist. You create, you manage, you organize, you lead programs. You can take that experience to schools, into government agencies, to nonprofit organizations, community organizations. It is really the opportunity to develop your sense of community and your sense of creativity and provide for the society a way of seeing and doing that is unique. And George Lamming had a famous line in one of his writings in which he says, the artist is the person who brings the society to see itself. And in so doing is a sense of education. In the department, there are a number of disciplines which we highlight, and you can become a graduate with a BFA in dance, a BFA in creative arts, and the creative arts is really, as I'll talk a little bit about later, an interdisciplinary program. There is the BA with music with education, the BFA in music, the BFA in film, and forthcoming, there will be a minor in theater arts. But the theater arts are also a very strong component of the creative arts program. The BFA in creative arts, as I said before, it's an interdisciplinary program. If you don't want to specialize in any of the other areas, you can focus on 2 disciplines in the arts. And after you successfully audition and interview, choosing a primary concentration, then you're admitted to the program to study not just that major concentration, but you are allowed to do other courses, and we usually say no more than 2. They're based in aesthetics, theory, history, criticism, and there is, again, the creative aspect of the course. The BFA in dance, and I believe we lost Dr. Rainey Demison, who was here a minute ago. I would have gotten her to at least say a few words about the program. But it introduces students to dance as an art form, paying special attention to the history of dance, the practice of dance, the performance, and the appreciation of the art form as a whole. The BFA in music, and as I said before, most of the students spend their time in the Mutual, which is in Bridgetown, designed to prepare students to achieve success in a world of musicianship through an appreciation of Caribbean musical forms. They perform, they critically listen, they review, they assess music from all musical genres, actually, and a number of other traditions. We have been actually talking in the last few days about looking at the classical area as a Caribbean expression. And that may be something that we may provide an opportunity for some students in the future. The BFA Music with Education, which is designed for students who want to teach music and who are passionate about music education. And that is a very specific area, especially popular with students who go into not just the schools, but also working with communities. The BFA in film seeks to create artists, scholars, and critical thinkers who pursue creative production and explore the cinematic language, excuse me, and culture of the Caribbean. So you'll do courses not only in cinematic practice, but in producing, cinematography, writing, editing, and digital media, which is slowly introducing technology into the process and essentially making film a lot more, I think the word is affordable, and it allows you to develop, I think, a very personal journey of expression. The theater arts is part of the creative arts, studying the acting process and its effect on a performance. They develop physical and vocal skills. They learn to analyze and direct text for performance. Courses then include production stagecraft, acting for stage and screen, directing performance, and that's in addition to looking at the history, theory, and aesthetics of the discipline. Finally, I want to point out that we have what we call a taught masters, a Master of Arts in Creative Arts. And essentially, there are two concentrations. There's the Arts Entrepreneurship program, and there's the Arts Educator program. We do have a Studio Arts program, but because of low enrollment and resources, really, we have not offered that in a few years. But eventually, I think as more and more students become, well, passionate about the practice, especially in terms of theater arts, that is something that we will likely bring back again in the future. But the students, they again ground themselves in learning the theory. What are some of the things that scholars have said about the Caribbean? And how do we use that knowledge in applying it to various artistic disciplines, whether it is writing, whether it is dance, painting. We've had a number of students who have taken the MA Creative Arts and essentially begin to carve very unique spaces for themselves. And what I mean by that is that they're able to enter into a research tradition and find that it gives them an added strength in terms of flexing their creative muscle, whatever their discipline. So that's a rundown essentially of the areas which we cover. I've talked about both undergrad and graduate, and this evening I have one student, current student, who Kenya Gill, oops, or maybe we lost her. However, Cindy Marshall, some of you know her as Cindy Celeste, is a graduate of our program. And I'm very excited that she's able to join us this evening. And I'd like to ask her to say a few words about her experience as a graduate student, MA Creative Arts. Cindy?
Hi, good evening. I hope everybody's doing well. You can hear me, right?
Yes, we can.
Awesome. So first of all, I graduated from the class of 2022, so I'm basically fresh out. And I think, that also means that I was an end of COVID student, so I got a little bit of the best of one world and what the other world offered. So I was an online student for a great part of my degree program, but I did also get to do some in-person classes. And I've found that I decided to pursue the creative arts masters because in my undergraduate I was actually on the main campus in humanities and education, doing linguistics, a major in linguistics with a minor in communication studies. And one of the requirements for a minor in communication studies rather, is to do the production tools course over at FCCPA. And when I did it, a lot of the lecturers kept telling me that this is where I seem to belong. And so after years of performing within the underground spoken word poetry scene, I did circle back and find my way back home to FCCPA and the Faculty of Culture, Creative and Performing Arts. And the overall experience of the program was absolutely enriching. It has helped me in a lot of ways in my creative process, being able to ground my thoughts and ideas and concepts that I come up with in the world of academia and the world of research, and being able to interact with what our Caribbean scholars especially have been saying, but scholars in general, and what scholarship has in general been saying about artistic praxis and traditions, has allowed me to rethink a lot of my process and streamline a lot of my process as an artist, and has also opened up a lot of new avenues for me in terms of just being able to explore new things with my own art and with myself as an artist. And so I entered the program as spoken word artist, and I graduated the program as artist. One of the things that I really very much valued about the creative arts MA was that I was in class with people from other artistic disciplines. And so it allowed me to be able to think about the interplay between those disciplines and the relationships between those things, and how I can collaborate with artists in other disciplines, and how I can explore those disciplines for myself. I think the masters really gave me the permission to, or really allowed me to give myself the permission really to rediscover the things that I love about art as a whole, as opposed to just pigeonholing myself to a specific art form. And in terms of expanding the scope of my abilities, or my I guess you can call them abilities as an artist, being able to have conversations with other artists, with the lecturers who are themselves artists, or who have themselves been artists, or arts researchers, has given me a chance to explore things like how to create a through line in a show, how the creative arts project that you have to do at the end of the masters kind of ends up becoming an event in your head that you have to conceptualize from the ground up, and all the things that go into doing that, how to craft programming that is arts-based outreach, how to use your art form, whatever that may be, to reach as many people as possible in myriad different ways. And I think that's the absolute beauty of studying this program, and this program specifically here at UWI-Cave-Hill, is that you get to ground it in not only an experience that you are familiar with, but to build on that experience and to be able to expand that outward into all of the things that you may not have necessarily considered yourself capable of before within your own art form. And I think that's really what I wanted to share. I'm not sure if Mr. Millington is going to mention it, but I never ever thought at any point that I would end up being a teacher. And now I am a teacher. But the master's program in creative arts really did give me an opportunity to step back and look at how to approach things differently. And in being able to approach teaching differently, I developed kind of a love for it. So thanks to the entire faculty, but obviously all of my MA creative arts professors.
Thank you, Cindy. I think you gave us more validation than we gave you, really. Those of you who know her as Cindy Celeste know her as a spoken word artist of immense power. And one of the exciting things, I think, is, as she said, being able to share with other creative artists. And in that engagement, I think it's created a very strong synergy. So Cindy would have been our one of our graduate students and one of our postgraduate experiences she would have spoken to. I'd like to ask Miss Kenya Gill, who is an undergraduate student, I believe completing her second level year. Kenya?
Hi, yes, please. Wait, give me a second. I'm trying to make. Do I have to turn on the camera?
Yes, you can. Oh, it's up to you, really.
Okay. Wait.
Just tell us what program you're in and what you're studying.
Hi, I am currently in the creative arts program doing film and theater. I came in 2023, so I'm currently finishing second year right now. My main focus when coming in was to do theater because I was always interested in theater, but then I found out that I had to do it in conjunction with other stuff. And it ended up being for the best because I ended up doing a lot of film courses along the way, and I enjoyed that a lot too. So now I'm doing like a mixture of both, which is pretty good. Yeah, it's going so far so good. I don't know what else to say.
But you're enjoying the program, you're enjoying university life. What does it mean to you now to be or to say, I'm a student of Cave Hill, I'm a student in the Faculty of Culture, Creative and Performing Arts?
For me, it actually because I was never sorry, let me think. For me, it actually means a lot because I was never too interested in, I know it's crazy to say, but I was never too interested in culture and stuff like that, but learning more about it now, I've ended up even doing more culture courses than I was even supposed to do because getting into that, it was very interesting learning more about the Caribbean, dealing with film and theater and stuff like that, because I had only really been exposed to the more westernized elements of it and more westernized plays and musicals and stuff and that sort of thing. So it was very interesting to really dive into Caribbean plays and the playwrights, the authors, and then also the films. Like even though I'm doing Caribbean film, which is very interesting to see because when I think of Caribbean film, I only really think of some of the ones I watched when I was younger, like the more Barbadian films or maybe Jamaican, but then I watched some from Cuba and from St. Lucia and different stuff, some in different languages and everything. It was very interesting to see how that culture kind of came in. So it is very good to like be immersed in that type of.
Thank you, Kenya. And I have to say that one of the more interesting things is to hear you in the screenwriting class talk about the kinds of stories that fascinate you. And you teach a lot about your generation and your generational interests in story. So thank you very much for sharing your experience with us.
Yes.
And I just want to ask, are there any students in the audience tonight who are interested in the creative arts or film or theater or music? Awesome. We'll go ahead and play the video for this. That was the music of Kweku Jelani. And it's interesting because just last year, he actually produced what you call an EP. And by the way, his mother is also a PhD candidate in cultural studies. So it's all in the family. Mrs. Jordan, it's all
Yes,
yours.
please. So just want to make sure that you can actually see my screen.
Yes, we can.
Fantastic. Good evening and welcome to our virtual information and Q&A session for the Faculty of Culture, Creative and Performing Arts. And thank you for taking the time to join with us this evening. Now, as you would have heard from the heads of the departments and our students, the Faculty of Culture, Creative and Performing Arts offers a unique opportunity for you to immerse yourself in Caribbean cultural studies and develop your talents in dance, film, music, or theater in a vibrant, diverse environment. Now, our beautiful KPhil campus is not just a place of learning, it is a community where students from across the Caribbean and across the world come together to explore their creative and cultural heritage. Now, we take pride in our modern facilities, a rich student life, and extensive network of international student exchange partners that can expand your educational horizons. Now, what makes our program special is the combination of rigorous academic training with the practical hands-on creative experiences. Now, whether you're interested in our Bachelor of Arts in Caribbean Studies, Bachelor of Fine Art programs, any of our master's programs, MPhil or doctorate, you'll find dedicated faculty committed to nurturing your talents and helping you develop professionally, whilst we in the admissions office will be there to guide you through your application process, the registration, and any student matters, for example, leave of absence, exemptions that you may have while you are a student with us. Now, one of the things I want to point out to you is that for those of you applicants who would have already applied between November and January, you will hear from us by March the 31st. Now, I am sure that some of you may have already heard from us, kind of informing you of what are the next steps. Now, for all new applicants who are not exempted from the ELPT test, so some such applicants being those who do not have English A at CSET grade 1, or would not have done English and communication, or would have done it, but do not have a B and above from our local community college, to name a few. Now, the full list of subjects that would exempt you from taking the test are available on our website, and we encourage you to review all the information available on the test, including when the test will be held, the payment for the test, and how you are expected to register to take the test. Now, do note that you're only allowed to take the test once. So if you take the test in April, whether you are successful or not, you will not be able to retake the test. If you're not successful with the test, or if you do not wish to take the test, you will be required to take our preliminary English course, the cost of which is 500 Barbados dollars, which is a separate fee from your university required fees. Now, the UWI KPhil campus offers excellent financial support options for our Barbadian students. The Barbados government pays 100% tuition of your tuition fees for undergraduate students, where all the Barbadian students then are expected to pay the university fees. Now, for our postgraduate programs, the government of Barbados would also fund your studies if you have a first degree with first class or upper second. Now, for financial aid is available for students requiring assistance, and the private sector does lend support to us with over 50 scholarships being available from various private sectors, organizations, and institutions. Now, the scholarship eligibility may be based on your academic performance, your financial need, field of study, or other specific criteria. The student financing section of the UWI website allows you to explore the undergraduate scholarships, the postgraduate scholarships, the bursaries for continuing students, and special reward awards, research awards, sorry. Now, I understand that the application process can seem complex with specific requirements for each program, from audition for dance and music to portfolio submissions for film. And we are here today, that's myself and members of the Student Enrollment and Retention Unit, to help clarify any questions you might have about the admissions requirement, the program structure to some extent, because you notice that your heads of department would have gone through with you as it relates to the structure of the programs, the scholarships, or any other aspect of student life at the K-Field campus. And I encourage you to ask questions freely during our question and answer session. No question is too small or basic. We want to ensure that you have all the information you need to make an informed decision about your educational future. So thank you again for your interest in the Faculty of Culture, Creative, and Performing Arts. And I look forward to our discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Jordan. And I'd like to open the floor to any questions at this particular moment. Are there any? Well, first of all, how many students do we have? How many prospective students do we have tonight? You can just raise your hand. No questions? Okay. Allison, why don't we play the video, and if during that time they come up with any questions, then we can ask them after. Okay, before you go, I have a question. Good night. I'm a prospective student for the BFA in film. I wanted to verify if part-time is available for that course, and how do you go about applying for that? Yes, you can pursue a BFA in film as a part-time student, but I believe your part-time student, your status, whether you're full-time or part-time, will be noted on your offer, and at that point, you will be advised what courses you take. Mrs. Jordan.
Yes, please. No, it will be noted. Yeah, as Mr. Millington said, but whether you're considered for part-time or full-time is based on your qualifications. So if you have only presented your CSAT to us, then you will be considered as a part-time once you meet the criteria. That is, having English, either math, a foreign language, a science subject, or geography, in addition to 3 other subjects, depending on if you're doing dance or if you're doing film or if you want to do theater and you have your audition or you bring your portfolio piece. All of that is a combination as to whether or not you would be considered for the program, and that would be for part-time. And for full-time, in addition to the portfolio or the audition piece, you must have those basic CXCs and KIT or an associate's degree, which is 2.5 and above, and we will consider you as a full-time student because you are fully qualified. Now, the thing about a full-time student is that you have the option of doing part-time if you so desire. A part-time student can only change after you have completed your level 1, which is 10 courses. You can then opt to do full-time after that, which would be in your level 2. Now, part-time at the K-Folk campus does not mean that you are coming in the evening. It just means how many courses you're taking. So for a part-time student, you're allowed to, the minimum is 2, the maximum is 3. For a full-time student, the minimum is 4, the maximum is 5. And depending on where you are at or what it is you have to do, you may be allowed to do a 6th course. And this is you have to go through the faculty for that special permission to do a 6th course. But as I said, you can opt to do full-time, can opt to do part-time, but part-time cannot opt to do full-time. And you will be restricted based on how you are considered. So if it is that you are considered as a full-time student and you do not want to register as full-time, you need to let us know, because how your record is going to be, how your record is going to say, you know, you are missing this if you don't register for the amount of credits. Yes?
Thank you, Mrs. Jordan, and thank you very much, Abigail Cumberbatch, for that question. If you have another question, you can go ahead and pose it. Or anyone. Anyone with a question for? Well, let me at least identify a couple of persons who are integral not only to this session, but to the faculty as a whole. First of all, thank you to Mrs. Patricia Adderley of CIRU for her assistance always in helping us think through some of the things we plan to do, especially with respect to recruitment. As well, in the faculty, our administrative officer, who is actually assisting with the technology side of things, Miss Allison Johnson is here and supporting. I know that Dr. Rainey Demison was with us earlier, and she is actually chair of our retention and recruitment, or recruitment and retention committee. So part of her work would have been to set up this evening's event. So let's go to the video. I have another question before we go, and that is from Sean Rogers. Sean says, I'm interested in pursuing film for the portfolio. Can I submit a mixture of media, for example, photographs and posters that I designed? And that would be absolutely. We're looking for what we call your inclination towards creative expression. So whether it is writing, creative writing, or painting, or as you have said, you've done photography and you've done posters, you've designed posters. Yes, that would be an excellent part of your portfolio, because then we can see, excuse me, not only your interests, but see how you actually go about practicing your art. Let's go to the video this time. And if there are any more questions afterwards, you're welcome to ask them as well.
It was so high at that point. I was just numb to the pain. Then she walked in.
So, come here by yourself, or you just pop up beside in the office serious?
Shut up. I'm graduating too, you know.
Last year. Besides, I didn't even know you were graduated.
Yeah, I got in a few weeks ago. I heard you like mysterious women.
So, what was that?
Fuck off, Rico.
Wait, hold on, guys. Hear me out. You was my best friend since I was like 4 years old. Right?
He was my cousin, so fortunately I know you for too long, but I don't think there's anybody that I can see you with that you would have murdered. So, I mean, we'll break my heart. You'll break my heart. You'll be doing this building, one day thing for so long. It's just do it. Just do it. Just do it. Like, you hear him, he leaving, but you can make it work. You can make it work. Like, you can get a kid. You all can get like 4 dogs. You can get like 4 dogs. And you can work at a museum. You always wanted to.
Just for that? You're not getting your graduation gift.
Oh, I'm sorry. So, in this pen, there's a chemical that's only be produced in the body twice. In your fucking death. In your barn. So, because it's unpracticed science and capitalism, we can talk to the ancestors.
Because you don't think we high enough already?
Okay, alright. When you go to your fancy music school, right? You got a story to tell your little friends, B? You do fucking TNT. That's street place, baby.
So that's a clip from a film made by a student who will be graduating this coming October, and his name is Taekwon Nablet. Now, Taekwon really was passionate about his work. That was done in a directing class, and his capstone film was actually picked up by a festival in the US and also in Colombia. So one of the things that we work towards is having students hone their skills so that they can make film that is competitive in that global world of film. And I think that he has managed to raise his own skill level to the point where I think he's ready to go on and do some even more exciting things. But we're very proud of him. He emerged out of this culture, Faculty of Culture, Creative, and Performing Arts. And as I said, his work really as a creator is also born of his study, his serious study of the history, the culture, the creative expression. And he's also thinking what it means not just to be a creator. And you heard Kenya talk about trying to create something different than what you have been exposed to in terms of Western media, but trying to find his own cultural identity and to speak and tell stories out of that experience. So we have spent more than an hour and a half this evening. If there are no more questions, I'd like to personally thank you for joining us this evening and to remind you that we are part of the wider university whose mission is to ensure that we provide the foundation for learning and for personal growth. There are a number of careers that you can benefit from once you make your decision as far as a program of study, but we believe that the Faculty of Culture, Creative, and Performing Arts does something unique, and we believe that you can find success and that you can be a better creator studying with us. Well, I want to thank you again and all those who contributed to the success of this session. I thank you. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us. You can call the office 417-4776, and you can also send us an email. You can go through the website, the Faculty of Culture, Creative and Performing Arts. You send us an email, and we do respond within a day. So we look forward to seeing you at the Faculty of Culture, Creative and Performing Arts. Have a wonderful evening.
Good evening, everyone. Bye.
Good night from the faculty. We are culture, we are creative, we are artists. Have a good night.